Gianna Rocha. Nice to meet you all. And first off, I'd like to thank Mayor and Council for being here tonight and acknowledging our voices. It's a great honor. And yeah, so if you guys have any questions for Council, I'd like to turn over the floor to you. Anyone? Or if not, I can get the ball rolling.
I think my first question, since I think everyone is going to answer all the questions, would just be like, what is one thing that you want us to be aware of that City Council does? Or I'm pretty sure most of us probably don't know a lot about city government, and so maybe just one thing that you think is important for us to know. Do you want to start?
We can just pass it around. And, yeah, that's fine.
Well, what you should know is that constantly, every day, City Council is making decisions about your community and what it's going to look like tomorrow. And it's important for you guys to get involved in that process. And there's a lot of, I think what I'd want you to know is there are a lot of avenues for you to do that, right? Through the Youth Commission, through coming to City Council meetings, you can speak at them. We have a lot of different boards and commissions throughout the city, and we're always wanting to have young people not only attend those meetings, but serve on those boards. And even though they may not be a voting member currently under current guidelines, they get to speak about issues so that, you know, we can make better decisions as council people when we're hearing from every segment in the community, right? Not just adults or people with specific interests, but make sure that we're hearing from everybody in the community. So I'd want you to know that there are opportunities for you guys to get stuff in our ears.
I totally agree with Councilman Wallen. I think the biggest thing for young people to understand is that sometimes in this country, in this world, people think that they're helpless to control the effects of government. And I think we all feel that way from time to time in the federal government level. We always read the paper and see these things and think, you know, why can't those people get their stuff together and not say those silly things that we keep hearing over and over again. But having been around various, you know, state level, county, and then municipal level, I'll tell you, from my perspective, a municipal or a city is the most responsive of all of the levels of government, because we work and live and are accessible to every one of you and your families. And if Brighton is ever to get better, it's not going to be because City Council is the smartest or the, you know, we have the most resources. It's going to be because the people that live here want to help us make it better. So I would just echo that. If you want to be better, speak up, engage, talk to us. We're going to be available. Would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Well, I think that it's all pretty much been covered. Get interested in your city, because it really starts here. There's, of course, there's state, county, federal, God forbid, but there, you know, no confusing. But I think that if you would start with your city, it's a close-knit, actually, family. And we all kind of know each other. And so when you go to the mayor or to the city manager and give him the name of a street and an address, he knows where it's at. He doesn't have to look it up in the map. He knows where it's at. And so you can get some of these things fixed. And so we're working real hard, all of us, we're all responsible for our own wards, but we're also responsible for the whole city. So that's what we do, try to make it better for us or for all of you.
As someone who started being involved very early in city government, and I'll go even back further. When I was 8 years old, I was reading the newspaper. Pretty weird, huh? Yeah, that's like a blog, except it's on. Anyway, and I noticed that about half of our city council, our mayor, and several administrators had been indicted for corruption. And what that told me, and we moved out of that city into a smaller city. And what that told me is be involved, pay attention especially. Pay attention to what's going on in your community. Be involved, attend a few meetings. I know you guys do that. And you guys are actually on boards and commissions, and I encourage that too. The only thing we had when I was in high school was one day a year, there was a youth government day. And I actually was councilman at large that day and reporting on the meeting. I don't recommend that. But be involved, pay attention, ask questions. Our numbers are public. Call us if you have a question. If you're concerned about something, call your city council. We're not that big that we can't take phone calls. Write a letter to the editor of the paper or whatever, and volunteer. That's one of the best ways you can be involved, and you meet a lot of great people who are doing a lot of great things, and it just pays off, and it's contagious.
I think I have one. Yeah, I'll piggyback off of what was just said in a way. I love the word I'm hearing, voice, and that you all want to make sure that we know that you have a voice. I want you to all know, even though that I know you can't vote, which is a whole other issue that you should really consider. I've heard a lot of comments in this room where I think you would be a more educated voter than many of the actual voters in our population right now, regardless of age. And why I say that is we are your voice, and we're still your voice even though you aren't a voter. And if you ever need anything from us, that's what I want you to know. And I can say this hands down for the rest of the members. We don't always get along, we don't always agree, but I think they'll agree with this, is that please contact us. And we will be your voice just like we are supposed to be the voice of the voting population, your parents. Keep thinking about what I just said too. Do you deserve a vote? Do you think that you should be? That's a question I guess I'll give back to you, just to think about. At a certain age in high school, do you believe that you should have that right to vote? Are you able to? Just a thought. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Tanya. So a lot has been said already, and I don't want to be redundant, but when you start looking at city government, one thing I want you to walk away with tonight is the minute you walk out your door, city services begin. Even in your house, city services are happening. So it's the water department, it's law enforcement, it's streets, traffic lights, sidewalks, facilities, recreation centers. All of that is covered by the city, and those are city services that influence and impact you every single day. The other thing I want to leave you with tonight is it's the people in this room right now. It is you being present that you are our future. You are our future, and I want you to think about, as the city manager said, think about the next step of your life is that you need to be 18 years old to run for city council. And I think it's time that we have a young person be represented on the city council, and you can do it. You are enough. Your education, your background, you have to be a registered voter, you have to be a U.S. citizen, and you can do it. You can do it. You know, I'll speak for myself, we're getting old. And, you know, it is important that your leadership at all levels of government, whether it's city government, state government, federal government, that you are represented as youth, that you represent your peers, you represent your interests. I have a niece that's about your age, and while I'm very close to her, I don't know everything that influences her life every single day and decisions that she is faced with every single day. It's different. You know, when I was your age, that was decades and decades ago. So I would really want to encourage you. It's been offered by many city council members. If you're interested in taking this path, call any one of us and we'd be more than happy to support you and help you. Maybe you can shadow us one day. Maybe you can come to a city council meeting and sit at the dais and understand what we are reviewing every single day, because these decisions, as Councilmember Blackhurst said, they impact your life every single day. So I'm looking to you as the future of not only our city, but the future of our country. So please consider civic duty. Running for public office is one of your options as you move forward. Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. So I think we're ready to open up the. Oh wait. Does this one?
I just felt that they.
Got it.
And as well, council, if you have an answer prepared, we'd love to hear your input. And if not, that's all right as well.
One more answer.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Yeah. I'll let you speak in a moment. I just wanted to ask all of you real quick. When you turn on the news, if you ever turn on the news or your Twitter or whatever, what do you see? What's the big news item besides, violence and stuff? What do you see? What's the big highlight? Think about that. You always they always talk about what's going on in Washington, or the local news, what's going on in Denver. What you're seeing tonight are people that represent your community. That's what affects you the most in Brighton, are the people that you're hearing from tonight. And I highly encourage you, just as what's been recommended by so many people, to be involved. Don't just sit back and take it. Be involved. And so, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Alrighty. So, any other questions for the council members? All right.
That works. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So today I had a real thought. Like yesterday, I thought about it a whole day. Like, what's the one thing that I want to ask the people that represent our community? And I thought a simple way to help express some of the stuff that students been going through, especially what I've experienced through my whole school year. So think of your favorite color and think of that color blossoming. But when it's blossoming, a shadow gets over it and it starts fading and it starts to wilt. And what I mean by that is there's been, just like recently, we had someone pass. And the positivity in most schools are not up to date or up to at least standards. There's been a higher suicidal rate than ever seen in the United States. And it'll be nice to, so my question is, what will the council do and put into action in order to address the issue?
I came in tonight kind of thinking that we might get asked that question in lieu of what's happened in our community in the last 24 hours. It's not an easy answer, and I quite honestly don't have the answer. But I do believe that as a community, both civically, all the people who live in our community, the school community, the youth community, I believe that we need to really reach out and provide each other with essential resources. I think we need to have an avenue for people, and in particular youth, to have access to mental health professionals when they're hurting. I think and I think that we owe it to you to make sure that those things are available. I know at Brighton High School they have a new clinic and they have mental health facilities there. We need that in all our schools. I think that we as adults need to treat each other more fairly and better so that you can understand how we should treat each other. I think we need to come up with some answer to social media. While it is a wonderful, wonderful tool, it can be the devil's tool as well. I like to call Facebook faceless book because it's so easy to put something out there and push send and not think about the heart it's going to reach. And we have to understand that when those messages go out, they do reach hearts. And we have to understand that every heart, regardless of their beliefs, regardless of their, we go down the list, race, religion, sexual orientation, so on and so forth, their hearts, and we're all individuals. And I quite honestly don't think that the adults in our country have done you guys a good job in teaching you how to do that. And so this is a worldwide, nationwide, but we can, I think, on the city level, we can do it by having activities like this. We can do it by letting you know that your voices do matter. And we can do it too by coming up with ways for you to be able to go and seek out help when help is needed. I wish I had a better answer for you.
Keep your hand, you don't have to keep it up, but remind me, okay?
Suicide is a very difficult subject. I don't think a lot of us are experts at it and why it happens. I have some suspicions for some of it. I think some of it is to do with the bullying problem that's going on in a lot of our schools. I have 3 kids in various schools here, and there's a bullying problem. I would ask everybody else in this room, what are you doing when your friend next to you is being bullied by someone in the hall? Think about that. I live right by the Boys and Girls Club, and once in a while I'll see someone taunting another person. I saw it last month, and I told that kid to get away from that person. We got to stand up to the people that are taunting the others. So.
Thank you, honey. Yes, very sad on their suicide. But it's difficult for us as adults because we're not with you at school. We don't see what's going on. The teachers, they're busy teaching or whatever. They don't catch everything. And I think that's where you young people need to come in and look around you and pay attention. Is someone getting bullied? Does someone look kind of sad to you that you could maybe just go up and say, hey, how you doing? Just something, because you're closer to them, to your people your age than we are. And so though we'd love to be there and help all the way, it's almost impossible. And so that would be something that you all could do to benefit the children, their kids in your school, because it is very sad that obviously this young man had no one to turn to. What was going on in his life? I mean, I heard he looked happy, he looked fine. What happened? Don't know. But maybe just for you kids to be a little more alert. That's a big responsibility, I know. But we'll have to help each other. And we would depend on you to do it because you're all close. Thank you.
I think one of the best things that's happened in this community in a while was Speak Week. And that's you guys. And the sad part of it is that it can't happen every day. We can only commit so much time to it, each individual, but if we could have, if there could be, and it has to be peers, I think, be there for your friends if they're in trouble. But if there could be an organized way to do it, great. I don't know if that's possible, and I think that's a big chore to ask the Youth Commission equally big chore to ask City Council because we're not there. But, there are, again, kudos to you for Speak Week. I think I've been to every one of them. I'd like to sometime observe it in the schools. I haven't done that yet, but, it's not, the idea came from you. It didn't come from anybody else. And you could be the best peer you can. I have a person who calls me every day, and he reminds me, not every day, but he wants to talk for an hour every time I talk to him. And sometimes I think I'm de-escalating whatever crisis he's having. Sometimes I probably escalated. But it reminded me of when my uncle was in his 70s, and he would call me at 10 o'clock at night and talk to me till midnight. And I was the only one he had. And that, and I knew that, or I felt that. So sometimes you guys might be the only one. But if that happens, then you need it too. But we do have some places in town. Pennock Center has counseling for teens. Community Reach has counseling for teens. If you've suffered a loss, Richard Lambert Foundation is very good at grief counseling. So there are options out there. Think about them when you can. If you're in trouble, go to a friend. You guys know this because you know how Speak works. Anyway, I've said too much. Thanks.
I did just want to add to that a little bit, you guys. First of all, we share in your sorrow, and we love all you guys very much, and we care very much about you, and your community is filled with caring adults who care about you and want to do everything we can to help you, number one. Number two, Speak Week is something that we can do about it. And I am so proud of the work that you guys have done to take on an issue that is so difficult for us to talk about with each other, right? For us to deal with. I mean, there are a lot of hard issues to talk to parents about. This has certainly got to be the most difficult one. But I think, can we take the lessons we've learned over the past 7 years of doing Speak? You guys have found the best practices, the best organizations, the best ways to cope with and deal and try to prevent these situations and terrible situations. Is the time now to take those great things that we've learned and bring them more fully into our community, where I know we can't do it, we don't do Speak every day. Can we have Speak in our hearts every day? Can we be treating each other with everything that we've learned through Speak? And I would encourage you guys to, let's join together in trying to fix this and make it better for us. Thanks a lot.
For anyone who doesn't know, because not everyone here is on the commission, Speak is a suicide prevention, education, awareness, and knowledge that the Brighton Youth Commission puts on. So any youth that are here that aren't on the commission or the core, you guys are always welcome to come to our meetings. They're on the first and third Thursday of every month at Historic City Hall. So that's what they're talking about when they talk about Speak. So that's open for anybody to come help with.
Yeah, I first just want to say I'm so sorry for all of you. I'm so sorry. I still remember personally something like this happening when I was your age. Fact is right now, I want to be really clear, it's not going to change. I do not see it changing. The statistics are showing that this is an increase. And I have two quick ideas that came to my mind right away. And this is for when you are a voter, hopefully sooner than later. I'm saying that because we need more teachers in our schools with smaller class sizes. That has been a helpful thing with the statistics showing to help stop this. Science really can help us here. And the other is what Mayor Kreitzer says, and I'm sure we all agree, is mental health help. I think we need that throughout society, but when we're losing young people like this at this rate, I think we need to make this one of our number one priorities. And then last, the thing that came to me after Councilman Humbert and Councilman Wallen, it's just like us. We're a bunch of adults, and we're telling you what we think. We don't know what's happening. We don't know. We hear about how this happens. We hear it for a moment at a time when it does, but we don't know what's happening daily. And what I ask of you is, just as I said, we're your voice, please tell us. And once again, I'll turn it back for a question for you is, what do we need to do? You tell us, and make sure we do it, because obviously we have let you down here. I'm so sorry you're dealing with this.
Go ahead, Gianna, real quick, and then here.
Alrighty, thank you for that. Such meaningful conversations. But unfortunately, we are almost out of time, so we only have one more question. And council members, if you could keep your answers brief, we would enjoy that. But thank you. The conversations are very meaningful and great.
So my last question is, when did you guys decide that this was your path and this is what you guys wanted to do for your life?
Yeah, I already kind of said this about 5th grade. I really did, and I know how nerdy that might sound to others, but I really did want to serve from that age on. And now that I have been able to, I can't tell you how true it was, those feelings that I was told by Miss Noble in 5th grade, and that you really can help and what that feels like once you are helping. And that's the reason I took this path and have been able to do it.
That should be an easy question, and it's not. So, I'm kind of along with Councilmember Johnston. I had a teacher influence me. His name was Mr. Alter. He was my government teacher in high school. I went on in high school and I served in student government. And, that lady, her name is Joan Kniss. She and both of us served on city council for the last couple of years together. So I am a person that kind of does on-the-job training, that you figure out what you want to do as life comes at you. My older sister knew she wanted to be a journalist. She knew she wanted to be in media from the time she could read, and she is. And she's one of the only people I know that is like that. So I wouldn't put so much pressure on yourself to figure it out. I think once you find out, once you are true to yourself and what your path is, that will come to you, no matter what path that you choose. And I think that's kind of, I've taken it. I've been in government for 25 years. I've always been part of government, but to serve on this side of the desk came to me very late in life. So.
They always say there's 2 reasons a kid goes to college. It's because his parents did or because his parents didn't. I think public service is a lot like that. People get involved because they either have a true calling and a true belief that they get real young, or something happens that makes them mad and they say, I'm going to get up there and make a difference. When I retired from teaching, did I think I'd be mayor 7 years later? I don't really think so. But it's been in my blood, and it's just good to be able to give back. And when we're all done, I have a final comment I'd like to make.
Thank you. Can you hear me? For me, I've enjoyed following politics even since I was a little kid. I wouldn't say it's something we should look at as a lifetime path. I think that's a lot of the reason why we have term limits, so we can have other people take their turn in serving in their community. So, that's it.
Councilman Mills stole mine. It's exactly what I was going to say. We take turns. The community takes turns serving in government. That's what makes it so good, right? What age? When I was your age, I was interested in politics, but I sure didn't want to be one of those people. No way. But by the time I got into my 20s, I realized they're making all the rules for me. So I'm going to have to get involved if I want to make sure the rules, are going to be fair to me too. So, and I think that, everybody has that opportunity, whether it's serving on council or serving on a school board or another board or commission. You've got the opportunity to get out there and have an impact on what you're interested in.
Being in law enforcement all those years, service is probably the number one reason most people go into law enforcement. They want to serve the community, help people make a difference. And I think that's much the same as at least local politicians. But in my mind, people that generally are in local politics are not necessarily the ones that you see going to be state representatives and U.S. congressmen and things. I think it's a different sort of a motivation for most of us than it is the typical politician. I think many of us, frankly, don't like to be thought of as a politician because that's kind of a bad word in this country right now for a good reason. It's political in one sense, but it isn't political in the traditional sense. So I think it's more to try to serve.
Okay, as I said earlier, I was convinced by my friends here locally that they thought that I should give back to my community. And I agreed with them. My business has kept me within the judiciary, the law, what I do. I'm a strong supporter and believer in the Constitution of the United States. I believe in the presumption of innocence. I absolutely believe in due process. And it all falls into place. Even in what I'm doing now in City Council, you have to weigh everything. It's not cut and dry. And so I think my experience that I've got in my business also has helped me in City Council because it's just not ever cut and dry. There's lots to it, and you've got to try to weigh it out. And so it would be wonderful if you all gave it a try. You can start at the city, and like you were asked earlier, go sit into a council meeting, talk to a council person, or if you want to visit, I'm just on Bridge Street. You can stop by and we can chat. If you get a little time in our board and want to come and listen to me, then you can come over. You're all welcome, of course. Thank you.
I just say, I'm doing this to give back to my community, and this is the top way to do that, I think. So get involved, pay attention, and let us know when we're doing things right or not.
Tanya, if I may, tonight's been really, really wonderful, and it's been really enriching for me as your mayor to sit here and listen to y'all, but I don't think we did enough listening. I would like to propose, if we can, I don't know how we'd ever do it, the budget always seems to get in the way, so city manager, listen up. I think that we need to do this at least quarterly, and I think we need to sit at the small tables and let's get together and let's have a youth with council dinner 4 times a year, that we can sit and get rid of the microphones and sit at tables, and I want to hear from you because quite honestly, when I'm about the community, I learn more about the people and their needs and what they want when I'm at a coffee shop or at McDonald's or whatever. And so I challenge, I'm going to throw it out, and I'm going to be a part of the challenge. I want to work with you, Tanya, and again, Mr. Rodriguez, and hopefully the council. I think that we need to, if there's something that's important when we're starting to put together our budget for next year, I think this is vitally important. There's a voice out there that we need to hear, and we need to hear it regularly. And so I'm going to throw that out there.
Thank you. Thank you for the proposal. I think that that is really exciting. I can speak on behalf of, well, not on behalf of the Youth Commission, because I'd get in trouble by them, but that's exciting. Thank you. So again, I would just like to thank everybody for their time tonight. Thank you, council, and thank you for all the young people that joined us, and thanks for the Youth Commission for taking the time to, put this on. I know that everybody has busy schedules.